Hello everyone, welcome back to Lucky Loaders 15, and in this video we're going to be previewing day 4 of Royal Ascot. Before we get into all the analysis and tips for tomorrow, I just want to reflect on how day 3 went. It was all about Frankie Dettori today. He had the 4-timer and everyone was thinking, was he going to repeat when he had the 7 winners from 7 rides at Ascot nearly 20 years ago, and everybody thought the stars were aligning for him to do the same at Royal Ascot. I actually thought he was going to do it. After about the third race, people were cotton onto it, and pretty much all the last rides in the handicap were going pretty much favourite, and they were ridiculous prices, but bookmakers were just absolutely scared stiff of losing so much money. Probably would have been one of the worst days in the history of bookmaking, giving away so much money. But they were relieved there as Biometric saved the bacon in the Britannia Handicap. But for us, from a personal point of view, it was very difficult today. We didn't get a winner in the first. Expressionist blew the start. He ran credibly enough, getting back into the race, but he couldn't really muster anything other than finishing in midfield. Fox Chairman, I think he was actually unlucky not to win his race. I think the horse was there, but Sylvester de Souza probably didn't give him the best ride round, and I think he should have won the race. He was travelling so well throughout, and then when he did get put out and he did make his challenge, he was running home very strongly, but Sangarius had already got first run on him, and that's the way it's kind of been this week at Royal Ascot. If you've been held up towards the back, you've had very difficult chance of coming to win your race. That was the same for us with Fleeting as well. Was out the back, ran on very well, but in the end Frankie got first run. Cross count again at the back. Thought he was not getting into the race, really coming in the home straight, and I thought when Stradivarius was blocked in for a little way, we might be counting our money on cross counter, but it wasn't to be. He ran fair enough, finishing in 4th place. Still an interesting horse going forward. So he ran his race, but in the end, Stradivarius, he's just a quality horse. He never does the job in a flashy style, but he always does enough to win, and he's a very good horse. In the Britannia Handicap, Migration was one of our selections, finished in 7th place with the bookmakers at paying 6 places. That's the way it goes, very frustrating. He ran fair enough. Thought Turgenev was going to come and win his race, but Biometric, who looks a nice horse going forward, did very well to win that race. And in the last, South Pacific, 22-1, couldn't see it coming. Our selection, so Ron Priestley went well too quick in front. Also as well, maybe he didn't like the ground, maybe it was a bit too soft for him in the end, and he was very well gambled on as well before the race throughout the day, so I wasn't the only one thinking he was going to run well, and that's the way it's been really. A couple of near misses, but that elusive winner's still there for us, so that's probably putting you off from watching the rest of this video. But Royal Ascot is a very hard meeting. You've got a lot of races where there's big fields and hardly any form to go on in the 2-year-olds. You're looking at more stable reputation, pedigrees, things like that. Sometimes it comes to the fore, sometimes it doesn't. Handicaps as well, it's a luck of what draw you're in and traffic and all sorts. It's not an easy meeting, Royal Ascot. It's more probably easier to predict group races than it is handicaps, but I'm going to do my best, and hopefully we can turn the tide a bit tomorrow. The first couple of days we had some alright each ways, but today was probably the worst day of the 3, and I know a lot of people were backing Frankie out there, but honestly, apart from maybe Stradivarius, but I was concerned about the ground. I really couldn't have said that a couple of his rides would have won today, because I thought there were better horses there. So it just shows how good Frankie was using his intelligence around Ascot. He's a maestro around there, and you really always want to look what Frankie's riding, because he's always an eye-catching jockey booking when it comes to Ascot. But enough of Frankie Dettori. We'll get into the action for tomorrow, and it all starts with the Albany Stakes tomorrow, Group 3 over 6 furlongs. And Nabeth has the market here for Wesley Ward. Now, Wesley Ward's runners have been quite quiet this week. They did have a second in the Queen Mary yesterday, but not a lot of them have really been showing themselves. They probably haven't been used to the ground as well, but Nabeth is the one they've been quite sweet on. Won very impressively over 5 furlongs at Keeneland. Obviously hard to translate that form, but you've got to respect his record. Also as well, Chili Petin with John Velasquez booked up at 8-1. 1 over 4.5 lengths on the dirt, or 1 over 4.5 furlongs I should say, on the dirt at Keeneland. Again, we don't know how that form's going to translate to the turf, so I probably wouldn't bet on Wesley Ward, but if you want to bet on him, you can. Dieth for Roger Varian. David Egan, don't know if I've said that right, actually beat the Queen Mary winner Raffle Prize over 6 furlongs, so that's going to attract a lot of support. So Wonderful as well, well due for the O'Brien connections. Finished 2nd and 5th in a Group 3 last time out, and actually has been favourite on both her starts. But the one where my eye was drawn to, and I think is a good price if you can still get it at 14 to 1. Coral paying that with 5 places, so it could be a good each way bet, and not in a bad draw tomorrow as well. I think this horse might go well, and it's called Galadriel, a character name from Lord of the Rings. Andrea Zany, but for the ride for Kevin Ryan. Now this horse is by Dachart and won't mind a bit of juice in the ground, but it is going to be drying out. But either way, even if it was quick round, Galadriel should handle it, as her debut was very encouraging. She was pitched into a listed race in the Marygate at York, and she ran very well that day. She blew the start, but she was very eye-catching, and as the race went on, she really settled after being quite green in the early stages, and she flew home to finish in 4th place. She was very eye-catching. And I just think if she replicates that going up in trip tomorrow, she could definitely be doing her best work late on, and that's kind of what you need at Ascot. And it's interesting that they are going here. They think a lot of her, especially as well if they pitched her in listed company first time out. So for me, a 16 to 1. 16, 14 to 1, if you can get that, that's a good each way bet, I think, to kick things off in what looks a very tricky race to work into tomorrow. We then go to the King Edward the 7th, the Group 2, over a mile and a half in the 3:05 tomorrow. Now Japan heads the market here. He's nearly even money. He's run about 6 to 5, 5 to 4 short of a lot of firms. Trained by Ian O'Brien, Ryan Morbert for the ride. Obviously that's going to draw a lot of punters' eyes. But for me, I think actually he's worth taking on, because there's an interesting stat that I found out today when doing research for this video. And Ian O'Brien has been responsible for 4 of the last 6 losing favourites in the race, and 3 of them started at 6 to 5 or shorter. So really, you've got to think that that's quite a negative for Japan. He was very eye-catching, and he's done well, obviously coming on from the Dante to the Derby, finishing in 3rd place. He represents the form, but Irish trainers have a poor record in this race. Aidan O'Brien was the last trainer to win it, and that was back in 2004. He is the highest on ratings, but I just think that's a concerning stat, and there's a couple in here that I think are worth mentioning, and I will be taking him on. Now the second horse that I'll just mention is Paolo Escobar for William Haggis. William Haggis has been doing well this week, had a few winners on the board. 9 to 1 if you want to back him. He finished 2nd in the Derby trial behind Sir Anthony Van Dyke, that did go on to win, went on to win the Derby. And that was a good effort that day, and he's got 4 months off ground, which will help him. Also as well, he's a prominent runner as well, so that should help him as well. But I just think he doesn't have the stamina to last this trip. And the one where my eye was drawn to is that man again, Frankie Dettori, private secretary, 9 to 2 but makes at the moment. Ran on really well in a listed race at Goodwood, getting up in good time. And I think going up in trip will definitely help him. He's got plenty of stamina in his pedigree, which suggests he should run further than this. He might be a late bloomer. He's got a progressive profile. He was related to a St. Leger winner, and that could be where we see him later in the year, and this could be a good stepping stone. This race has often been a good stepping stone as well for the St. Leger, and I just think tomorrow, private secretary 92, I think he's the one you've got to probably be backing. Japan's too short for my money, and that stat that I said about Aidan O'Brien having been responsible for 4 of the last 6 losing favourites, that definitely is a massive negative there. So for me, private secretary is my tip in the King Edward VII. We then go to the Commonwealth Cup, and unfortunately this doesn't look as good a renewal this year. It's a new race that's been going for a couple of years now. Group 1 for 3-year-old sprinters, really, over 6 furlongs. Now 10 Sovereigns heads the market here, 11 away but makes at the moment, 5th in the 2,000 guineas where he ran well. This horse is actually 3 out of 3 over this trip, but I just think he's worth taking on tomorrow, and I'll get into my selection in a minute. Now, the other horse that you should probably mention if you're looking at having a bet in this race tomorrow is Hello You Min Zain. Now, this horse for Kevin Ryan and Kevin Stott at 5 to 1 beat Calix, who was a very warm favourite for this race, who won the Pavilion Stakes on Royal Ascot Trials Day back in May. But Calix was very disappointing. Something apparently went wrong, but Hello Human Zane ran very well that day, and even though, yes, he did have the measure of Calix, I'm not sure he's that good, but you still have to throw him in the mix. Cadem as well won the Carnarvon Stakes at Newbury for Charlie Hills, Dane O'Neill, but for the ride there tomorrow. Now, Cadem, I'm not sure about him really. I watched the race back today and I wasn't that convinced by him being that top quality, and I think there's a couple of better horses in here, which I will touch upon in a sec. But Charlie Hills is very sweet on him. Obviously, they know how to do it with the sprinters, with the likes of horses such as Batash. So you've got to respect them. Advertise as well as an interesting runner back down in trip. They're going to be adding the blinkers on tomorrow for Frankie Dettori and Martin Mead. He won over 6 furlongs before over in Ireland. He finished second in the Coventry here last year, so we know he handles the track. And I just think tomorrow he might be one just to watch in the market. He'd probably be well gambled on as well now that Frankie's been booked. But I just think that was too disappointing, and I'm just wondering if he's trained on as a 3-year-old. Looking from his pedigree, he was related to plenty of good 2-year-olds, but when some of his relatives hit 3, they didn't hold their 2-year-old form, so that's interesting there. So the one I'm going with here is Jash for Simon Crisford and Jim Crowley. Simon Crisford won the Norfolk today, so he's on the board at Royal Ascot. 5-1 with bookmakers at the moment. He's a good each way bet. He's kind of a money to nothing bet. You should get your money back, obviously, if he does finish in the places. He won the King Charles II listed contest at Newmarket on the Riley Mile last time out, over 7 furlongs. That's a good level of form. It's the second and the fourth horse I've actually come out and won since. So for me, Jash, he actually ran very well when he met 10 Sovereigns in the Middle Park, and I think it'll come on now. Apparently Jash has been a bit of a late developer according to Simon Crisford this season, and they've got him in the best place they reckon so far this year. So for me, Jash it is at 5-1 to give Sheikh Mohammed Al Maktoum another winner in this race after he won with Eqtidar last year. Now the 420, the next race on the card, the Coronation Stakes, Group 1 over a mile. Hermosa for Aidan O'Brien and Ryan Moore, even money favourite, won the 1,000 English and Irish guineas. She likes to go from the front. She should be prominently ridden tomorrow, and you can see why she should be the favourite, and she should take a lot of beating because Guineas winners have a very good record in this race, and I just think tomorrow, she's going to be very difficult to beat. Jubilee, so I'm not going to tip her, even though I am on anti-post 12-1. I backed her straight after she won at Newbury. She did it very well. She won by 7 lengths. But I think at 4-1 tomorrow, if you wanted to bet her now, she's too short. We don't know what she's going to be tomorrow, but at the prices anyway, from an anti-post perspective, she was definitely worth backing there. If you actually go to her Chelmsford form as well, that's holding up quite well because there's been some winners from that race. So for me, I think she's definitely got a good chance tomorrow. Castle Lady as well for Godolphin, the French raider for Henri Pantel. Michael Barcelona is going tomorrow, who won the French Guineas last time out. This horse is actually undefeated and is 3 from 3, and she won on heavy ground last time, so she won't mind a bit of juice. But for me, I think this is a different kettle of fish. Pretty Pollyanna has to be mentioned. Ran a good race on return in the Irish 1,000 guineas behind the likes of Hermosa, so she's got form tied in there, but I think she won't stay the trip. So my money's going on Happen, who does have to step up in form, but the way she finished off that race last time, if you go back and watch the Group 3 at the Curragh that she won over 7 furlongs, going up in trip should definitely help her, and I don't know why they haven't not been running her over a mile. She's got further in her pedigree, and I think tomorrow going up in trip should suit. She's 20-1 with bookmakers at the moment, and I think that's a cracking each way bet. And Aidan O'Brien's team, as you know, have been in good form this week. We then go to the 5 o'clock, the Sandringham Handicap over a mile. And Nonchalance for John Gosden is obviously attracting support. 7-1 favourite at the time of recording, and I think could go very well tomorrow. 2-3 from the career so far, off a mark of 91. But for me, I would be taking this one on. Desirous as well could attract a lot of support in the same colours for the connections that won the Britannia today for Rafe Beckett and Harry Bentley. Rafe Beckett's horse is in really good form. Won a fair handicap, carrying top weight at Goodwood, and that one will definitely be well punted tomorrow. Hotsy Trotsy as well for Jamie Spencer, who's got a fantastic record in this race. Rode for Red Walker last year, winning with Agriterra. I'm just a bit unsure she'll last a mile, but my money is on Magnetic Charm, who would be a fantastic winner at Ascot tomorrow because she's owned by the Queen. Everybody would love to see the Queen have a winner. 11 to 1 with bookmakers at the moment, sit with 6 places. James Doyle booked for the Queen tomorrow, riding for William Haggis. Now this horse won on return at York, and I remember backing this horse a couple of times last year as a 2-year-old. She's a very good horse, and I think could definitely be a group horse running in this handicap. Off a mark of 105 tomorrow. She does have to saddle top weight from stall 11, but I think there's a lot of things in her favour tomorrow, and I think she's got a lot of class about her, and I'm expecting a very good bid from her tomorrow. She might not win, but I'm expecting her to step up from her listed victory last time out at York, and I think she'll be there or thereabouts come the winning line. We then go to the Duke of Edinburgh, the 5:35, the final race of the day. Baghdad is the favourite at the moment. Won the King George V handicap last year, and he won his comeback run last time out at Newmarket in a good race. He's now rated 104. I just wondered if he's a bit steep in the market, but my selection is going to be Fujaira Prince for Andrea Zeni and Roger Varian. Typical runner for Roger Varian, who's lightly raced but 5 years old. 7 to 1 with bookmakers at the moment. Could be a good each way bet. He could still be well treated off a mark of 99. Finished second last time on his seasonal reappearance behind first 11 in that Ebor trial. I think he'll come on for that run, and I still think he's well treated off a mark of 99, and he's not got a bad draw either. So for me, for Fujaira Prince with multiple places tomorrow at 7-1, that's not a bad each way bet. So they're my tips for day 4 of Royal Ascot. If you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button for more videos here on my YouTube channel at LuckyLoaders15. You can also follow me on Twitter as well for all links to my work, following my handle at LuckyLoaders15. And that's all I've got to say, so please gamble responsibly. Hopefully we can have some winners of day 4 on Royal Ascot tomorrow, and we'll be seeing you soon.